My name is Ayça. I'm a creative technologist. Welcome to my digital corner. The pace of creative technology is unlike anything we've seen before. As long as you can describe it, there is a way to generate it. That's why today I want to discuss how can we have more control over our generations while co-creating with AI. More specifically, we will discuss how do we design visual prompts in spring 2025. Depending on when you are watching this video, it might be fun to be discussing, oh, we were at this stage. I'm a creative technologist specializing in extended reality design and creating AI workflows with human in the loop. You can think creative technology as applied innovation management. Most of the time I do create proof of concepts and do science communication. When we have a new technology, how does this translate to new opportunities? Sometimes I do create projects for fun. The latest thing that I published was cross-stitch assistant, and this is for generating cross-stitch patterns. In spring 2025, I'm very aware of my screen time, so I wanted to have a new hobby. If you try and it works or not, let me know. This presentation has 3 sections. First one is about creative technology. We will discuss some AI use cases and show some creative concept designs that I've been working on earlier. And we will focus on creating AI films with Sora. I have some tips for constructing visual prompts and how can we design presets. So presets is something that used for Sora. Then I have an actionable steps section for you that you can start using an AI workflow to create AI art. So in last week of March in 2025, there was a new image model that released by OpenAI. Then this was very interesting because I didn't handpick these results. These were generated were just 2 words, that is tot ziens, it means see you in Dutch, and that is ready to publish almost. Like, I really got inspiration. I'm convinced that we are collectively learning new ways of seeing and creating, and I don't know if we had similar thing that experience before in our timeline. How did I get involved? So by education, I'm an electronics engineer. Then I took some time to do experiments. In August 2022, I was a early tester of DALL-E 2. Then I was listening Fly songs. Then I messaged him to, can we create a AI art cover? Then I realized, this is the first time that I realized this can be an end product. An AI generated image can be an end product other than the ideation phase. So I strongly encourage you to listen this song. That's a really nice summer song. Now I am creating, I time travel and tell stories. So I want to see what excites me the most about AI filmmaking today is that individuals having production power to create unique things, and we can see what I mean with the time travel, that we can see the regular people's lives, what they've been doing, what they've been practicing, and in a way sometimes we can get inspiration that sometimes they had some solutions and we don't reinvent the wheel, or some practices that has been passed down the generations. These are really makes me excited. I don't know how to explain. You will see. I will be making more AI films after this presentation. So that's too personal, but in April 2025, I will take some time to do more AI art other than creating articles and making videos. What can creative technology look like? The first thing that I did, one of those first things that I did, was for using AI for set design. So I had a pearl vest for my 25th birthday. I designed it and had white wig already and wanted to have a cool photo shoot with the model. Then I erased my face and generated background, and this was a result that I desired in my office that I created in a few days. Using AI for ideation is an use case. So these 3 images were for an ideation session with artists about ecology robots. So it's right now it's 2 a.m. and I didn't sleep that much. So let's focus a little bit. This is a pufferfish ideation. The pufferfish was needed for collecting trash, plastic from the seas, and pufferfish at first needed to have fly. Other than that, later on, we discussed more in under 2 hours. It needed to have claws. So in real time, you can generate what do we have the opportunity. We can generate and discuss that are we creating this together. So the other 2 is about some digital wearable concepts. Another use case is for science communication, and these were some generations for nanorobots. Obviously, they are not accurate, they are speculative, but it helps for people to be thinking about, let's say, there's new research students joins to the group, they can think, oh, this is something that we are creating. So science fiction was a great inspiration for science production, so development. So why not we discuss things with more visuals, since we have the production power. Another use case of AI with extended reality is, then let's say we have a target image, you can overlay anything on top of it. So this is called the Gefährgesisters, and I went to an ancient city famous for pottery and made clay objects of this AI generated images by looking at it. And now whenever I have that image, I have a virtual gallery over there. The other application is making digital wearables. So I made a tiara, floral tiara. It's somewhere in the room. I don't see it at the moment. Never mind, you're seeing already. So I made the object and take 3D pictures of it and upload it as a augmented reality effect. So a few things. So this takes computational power, but I don't need to produce the same object again and again. So it may be a good alternative for sustainable fashion, or that I don't need to also ship this object. So as long as it's published, it's accessible anywhere on the earth. And another use case, then we will go into the designing visuals, is generating AI AR makeup. So you have an eye makeup design, you can overlay that onto your face. So this is another set design inspired by pearls and jellyfish. So let's come to the generating AI film section. When you start experimenting with AI, there will be 2 things that you will notice in the beginning. That first, when you create cool frames and put them one by one, it does not necessarily make a film. So the storytelling is really important skill that you'll need to learn. This is something that I'm actively learning as well. The second thing that you will realize that these cool videos needs to have this similar look. They need to belong to the same world. So we will talk about the second one more. One of the ways of constructing a visual prompt is using your existing images. So let's say you upload an image and write a short sentence, and then it creates in this case we will talk about Sora, as I mentioned in the beginning. It creates a storyboard. So the first thing that I do is simplifying what is being in the storyboard. Then I have two versions to compare, to understand what does this image creates for me to make a movie about. Another use case of making videos is that when you take two images and put them in the storyboard, so the first frame is and the last frame exists. So what Sora is trying to do is guessing between these two frames. So experimenting using existing images to create videos is a way. Now we will discuss about how do we construct visual prompts. So I usually like creating bubble prompts because it has the physics it shows the lighting and so on. So this was created as probably, like, I don't remember the exact sentence, that bubble floating in Amsterdam by the canal. So let's say I wrote that. This translates into this storyboard, and the first thing that I see, the results, were these three videos. These are nice videos, but for example, the first one is too still. The second one is too holographic. There is like sometimes Bubbles makes these colors, but it's too much when it's used. So when I investigate where does this come from, and when you read the prompt, there is the sunlight catches the bubbles, creating a dazzling array of colors. So probably dazzling array of colors creates these results. So when I remove that part, what do I get? And iterate a few times on the storyboard section. What do I get is much more close to my vision. What do I want to create? So these three were created. Then it's less holographic. The one in the middle is doing something different than the other. So how do we create that? Is with these prompts. So sometimes when you are constructing the visual prompt, to control over the generation, you don't really need to create very complex visual prompts. You just write, let's say, and unexpected happens, then the bubble moves unexpectedly. One thing that I can give about constructing the visual prompt is starting the testing with the things that you know. How does it look like? So let's start. I started from the bottom up here. That is a train station in the Netherlands. Then it didn't give me what I want. Then I said Utrecht Central. Then that was the color that I wanted to see in the train. And when I write Amsterdam Central, then there was the tram colors. So what does this suggest to us is that if you use more localized keywords, that is more likely to have desired results. Two more examples about this is that, so the first example is when we say a woman in Istanbul, Bosphorus ferry, looking at the sky. This translates into a storyboard to be creating this visual composition. But we can do iteration when we say in summer in 90s, since we said the season and some decade, her fashion changes. And a tip to be explored on this is if you search emotion wheel, there is so many emotions to be included in the visual compositions. If you manage to find a new emotion, let me know. That I'm almost sure there is much more. An example that I want to discuss today is Breath of Interpolation Rituals version 2. So this was an AI film that I did in 2023, and I wanted to revisit in December 2024. And most of the time I wanted to focus on the costume designs, and also I wanted these characters to be in the same room, feel in the same room, belong to the same world. So how did we do this is to create a preset, make them to have the same framing and same feeling. We will discuss this in a second. So a few prompts that I used to create these characters was generated also with ChatGPT, and a few of the iterations. So what I want to warn you about creating AI films, since you can generate anything, you might have decision fatigue. So if you create at first in the low resolution, first you will see the results much quicker. Second, since you didn't invest that much time, all of them, that means that it's much more better for the production phases. A few examples on this. If you have two frames that is very similar to each other, and when you blend them together dramatically, that can create cool visual effects. So what I said about preset is that making them to feel like belong to the same world was created with Blackdrop version 4. So here there is a general sentence: a black professional backdrop studio lighting, and some of the attitude and framing of this subjects. When I use the same prompt with the latest image model and also this with Sora, it also generates different things. But what I want to suggest here is that, so these are all the same prompt, and whenever I experiment with these new models, I start with something that I want to see. Since it's really enjoyable and exciting for me to see these, it makes me more eager to explore further. So I'm not trying to think, oh, what would people want to see and stuff. So I try to start with my intentions. Let's talk about the preset a little bit more. For example, this is the preset for a Dutch town. So what preset allows us to do, you can generate similar setting for winter, for spring, so it gives similar compositions. I will be discussing one last thing about the actionable steps before that, is a way to create presets. The question I had was, can we use existing images to design presets? And yes, we can. So I had these 4 images created with DALL-E experimental model, and then now I gave them to ChatGPT and asked, I'm designing a preset for Sora, can you help me to create a detailed visual prompt? And then I had a prompt called neither Istanbul nor Amsterdam, and this helps me to create similar look and feel for different compositions. So you can see here this preset sections. What I want to warn is that, so this is a very structured preset, but you don't need to necessarily have these sections. So this is not a checklist. So you can design different kind of information to create visuals. Obviously, once you have a preset that you really like, you can use it for different purposes. What I want to say about all of these we've discussed today is first experiment, then iterate, then curate. This makes an AI art meaningful, these three phases. Okay, final section. AI can assist you to handle repetitive tasks. When you are creating AI films, what is really important is that what's your vision, what do you want to create, and your critical thinking. In the creation process, you need to art direct, facilitate the conversation, do the decision making. You should not use AI to substitute creativity. Otherwise, that would be really easy to create similar results, and I don't think it would belong to you in the sense of art creation, but still, this is really open to discussion. And in spring 2025, it's not very regulated or discussed what makes an AI art economical value creation. I think it is also the documentation of the creation process. And when you are creating an AI art, documentation creates an observability to be understood further. I have this graph to be explaining these steps. I always suggest people to start with pen and paper. This gives you something to return to, and then you can see what you want to create when you look back. Sometimes I've mentioned decision fatigue. Then you can come back with fresh eyes after some break and see what do you want to create. Also, if you are starting with pen and paper, it helps people to be communicating easier in small teams. The first phase we've discussed already. Experiment, see what AI gives you. Do not commit any of the creations to be upscaled, all of them. That would be not logical to in the iteration process. Then curate. Then in the curation process, then you would say, okay, this is very intentional, then this becomes an AI art. I have articles on this about prompt strategies for creative work. I strongly suggest to take a look on this, and other creations about AI workflows with the human in the loop. What I want to simplify in these steps is that why you create and what you create is really important. And the first step is to create a vision document about what you are creating to be communicating with other people. And the simplified step versions has this, that iterate until it's just okay. It will never be perfect. There will be always things to explore, and these tools are also developing as you are using them literally. So it's okay to, at some point you say, that's good enough, and you release to the world, watch it with your friends, have small parties to have premieres. Then you will do better generations for the next film. Do not try to be perfectionist with creation of AI films at this point. The AI workflow that I want to mention is for memory AI art. This is an article that you can read, and also you can take this and give it to an LLM to be helping the co-creation, because in the AI workflow there is a section for LLM to assist you. In the end, you can check and also make your AI assistant to be more specific into a decade, something like this maybe. What is an AI workflow is explored and written in the article further, but I want to give an example. In April 2022, I created this. Is about my yellow chair story. With my parents, when we were in vacation, they asked me various questions. One of them was, what did you miss from the home the most? And I say, my yellow chair. So this story becomes an AI art. And I think with the context, it becomes more meaningful. It becomes more than a generated frame. So it's good to think about when you are creating a frame, what is the story behind this? And there is more details on this. A few more suggestions and we say goodbye. It's 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. Two books is one of them is Ways of Seeing by John Berger. This is a good thing about discussing about the visual composition about photography. The second book is about Artist's Way, to take yourselves a little bit serious to be creating art and also not so serious and stuff. So it really helped me. These two films are very interesting to be thinking about what kind of a feature that we want to live in. And yeah, that's all. I'm a creative technologist and I hope you learned something from this video, and I hope you share this one of your friends that you really like, okay? Because I want to find more people interested in creative technology, and these are the keywords that I'm finding more interested in creative technology. So if you have a favorite in this frame or an addition, that would be amazing to learn from you. Have a nice day. See you soon. Bye bye.